How can a person who already suffers from depression and an intense fear of death endure so much loss without going crazy or destroying himself? First, Edgar Allan Poe lost his parents at an early age and had difficulty with his foster family. Then he lost his beloved wife Virginia after 11 years of marriage. Let's look at what happened after she passed away in 1847. Edgar's response to the tragedy was chaotic at best. In letters to friends, he admitted to episodes of depression, insanity, and heavy drinking. About a month after Virginia's death, he fell in love with the nurse who had been taking care of her, and continued to write of his feelings for her for at least a year. By the end of the same year, he started a supposedly platonic relationship with Annie Richmond, a married woman from Massachusetts, though his romantic feelings for her became clear later. In mid-1848, over a year after Virginia's death, Edgar met his old love Sarah Royster, now a widow, and asked her to marry him. Her children objected, and she did not want to lose a sizable inheritance from her late husband. In fall of the same year, Edgar met an admirer named Sarah Helen Whitman. In a few months they were engaged to be married, but she broke it off when she learned of his affection for the married woman from Massachusetts. In mid-1849, Edgar composed Annabel Lee and shared copies with friends and editors. He also wrote about Annie Richmond, his married friend, wishing he could be happy with her and that her husband would pass away. Finally, in October 1849, Edgar was found wandering the streets of Baltimore in a drunken stupor. He was taken to a local hospital where he died 4 days later. An editor for the New York Tribune immediately took it upon himself to publish Annabel Lee, along with the obituary, and so the poem was first shown to the wide world. Despite strong contemporary sentiment that Poe composed the poem to memorialize his love and loss of Virginia, after his death, other women in his life claimed that they had been immortalized in his poem. They included Sarah Royster, who had turned down Edgar's marriage proposals twice, American poet and playwright Sarah Lewis, who, as far as I can tell, was never romantically involved with Edgar, and Sarah Whitman, who knew Edgar in person for about 3 months before she broke off their engagement. And by the way, what's going on with all these Sarahs? Unfortunately for them, at least a couple of women poets of the time, including Frances Osgood and Mary Hewitt, strongly disagreed with their claim and said that Annabel Lee was always about Virginia. I'm going to have to agree with them, especially considering Edgar's obsession with death, plus the fact that these women were alive to make their claim, while the character of Annabel Lee clearly dies and is buried in a sepulchre there by the sea. Much like Virginia Clem Poe. In the end, I won't criticize Edgar for his questionable choices, but I will call it out as the behavior of a lonely man with emotional problems who had great difficulty dealing with the tragedies in his life. At least he and Virginia seemed to love each other very much. Let's conclude by reading a Valentine's poem that Virginia wrote to him less than a year before she passed away, with a nice little surprise at the end of the poem. Ever with thee I wish to roam, dearest, my life is thine. Give me a cottage for my home, and a rich old cypress vine, removed from the world with its sin and care, and the tattling of many tongues. Love alone shall guide us when we are there, love shall heal my weakened lungs, and oh, the tranquil hours we'll spend, never wishing that others may see. Perfect ease we'll enjoy, without thinking to lend ourselves to the world in its glee, ever peaceful and blissful we'll be. Rest in peace, Edgar and Virginia. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel for new videos every week or two, and see the description below for a list of books referenced in this video.